Welcome to the Wellness Rebel Show, where you reclaim your health and tap into your body's healing power. I'm your host, Fatima, here to empower you with the knowledge and tools to take charge of your well-being. Whether you want to boost energy, improve mindset, or unlock vitality, this is your go-to source for practical advice and inspiration. It's time to step into your power and live a life of health and freedom. Welcome to the revolution. Hello, everyone. Today I have Kat Khatibi. She's a Miami-based podcaster and YouTuber known for her work in health, happiness, and beauty. With a Cuban-Persian heritage since 2018, she hosts the Kat Khatibi Podcast on health, happiness, and beauty, which has been recognized as a top 10 women's health podcast. Her content primarily focuses on women's health issues, including PCOS, hormonal imbalances, diet, fitness, and wellness. Provides her audience with expert interviews, honest reviews, and insights into achieving a balanced lifestyle. Her approach combines personal experience with professional expertise, aiming to educate and empower women on various aspects of health and well-being. Welcome, Kat.
Thank you so much for having me on. And I know I'm usually the one who does the interview, so this is my first time being interviewed.
Okay. Hey, there's always a first time for everything, right?
I know.
All right. So before we get on it, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background in the health and wellness space?
Yeah, so my husband, when we met, he was studying, traditional Chinese medicine, and then he started studying functional medicine. So I started getting into it because I had a lot of hormone problems. Everything I did was wrong. Everything, like how I grew up, was just all wrong. So then as he was learning, I was learning with him, and we would kind of like share each other like studies that we found online. We were always trying to like fix my hormones, things like that. So then I started realizing all the products were toxic. So then that became a huge thing. And then when I had really serious health problems, like my hormones were completely off after getting off the birth control pill, I said, I need to talk to people who are not just the traditional people, like, regular doctors. So I said, I'm going to start a podcast so I could get medical advice from people who are outside of the mainstream narrative so that I can actually figure this out. And that's what I did. And now I'm just like trying to help more people and spread the word about what we can do outside of just a pill for every ill.
That's awesome. That's an amazing journey right there. So, what was the pivotal moment or your health crisis that led you away from the mainstream Western medicine?
Yeah, so it was definitely like I never got a formal diagnosis because it was just terrible. I went to thousands of regular doctors and was just passed around like crazy. I had like skin problems, I was breaking out all the time. I had painful periods, heavy periods. I was just a mess. And I was trying to get off hormonal birth control because we knew it was dangerous. And I started developing like really bad sudden migraines. And then my doctor's like, you could get a stroke. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe you should have told me that before. But, they don't do that. And it's fine. So, and I also might have endometriosis, or I might have had it. I don't have the symptoms anymore, thankfully. But at the time, I felt like I probably have it. But I believe like you have to get like some sort of exploratory stuff to like find out for sure. I didn't want to do any of that junk. So I got off the birth control and so I just started this journey because of that, because of my personal problems.
Yeah. And it seems like nowadays, too, a lot of women are suffering from PCOS, hormonal imbalances, and endometriosis. I always have a hard time saying that word. And yeah, a lot of times, too, the doctor's solution is always birth control, right? And they don't ever tell us what the side effects are of the birth control, which essentially is causing more of a hormonal imbalance. So it's great that you finally figured things out for yourself and now you're helping other women kind of have like an aha moment, right? Like, hey, there's other ways to solve this and we don't have to live with it our whole lives. Okay. So how has your view on the pharmaceutical industry evolved through your experiences?
Well, I mean, I would love love for there to be a magic pill that I can take and then all my symptoms go away and I don't get other symptoms pop up or side effects. I would love if that were the case, if that was the reality. But for most, if not almost everything, that is not the case. Every medication has a side effect and they can deplete vitamins and minerals and cause other problems or kind of mask the problems while things are getting worse in your body because you're not addressing it. So it's kind of like instead of treating the problem, you're just kind of putting blinders on that will fade over time. It's never going to treat the problem. So now I'm completely against most of them except for like maybe an acute thing. Like if I get like, let's say I got like a really bad infection, I'm going to take the antibiotics so I don't die. I'm not stupid. I'm going to try maybe if there's natural like antibiotic herbal things, whatever first, if it's not a serious thing. But if I need to, I will take that. I'm not stupid. If I break, a bone, I'm going to go get that fixed. I'm not like completely anti modern medicine, but I am definitely
Yeah.
like, you don't need a pill. You are doing something. I think almost everything is a lifestyle disease. There's
Yeah.
very few genetic things that you're born with. Most things lifestyle can fix because lifestyle caused it.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, we're totally not dissing Western medicine. They're great for interventions in emergencies. So, but yeah, a lot of times our first line of defense should be like, hey, is there an herb for this? Or do I need to change how I'm eating, the way I'm moving? Maybe I need to get more sleep, right? It's it should be the first thing that we think about instead of like, hey, let me go to the doctor and see what pill they can give me that will cure me because it will not cure you. All right.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. I wish it was true, but no.
Right. If only, but no. We got here because of our lifestyle, and how we reverse it is usually with lifestyle. It's not quick way. It's not the quickest way, but it's to me it's the best way, and I'm sure you agreed with that too.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, I
you've
remember like when I first started.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah, I remember when I first started working on my health stuff, it did not happen quickly. It's a long process. You have to change your diet, you have to tweak things, you have to change your whole lifestyle, your stress, your exercise, your every little facet of your being has to change because everything you were doing up until that point was leading you to this condition. So it's not a quick process and you can't do what you always did. Some people are like, can I go back to eating that way? No. Can I go back to living that way? No. You have to change. I'm sorry. You have to
Yeah,
get more, healthy. It has to be a lifestyle change.
true. Yeah. That's funny how yeah, there are some people who sometimes wish that they can go once they get better, go back to the way they were what they were doing and expect to stay at the same path, but no, that's impossible. So you've mentioned stress from the pandemic as a catalyst for your podcast. Can you tell us
Mhm.
more how this stress manifested in health issues for you personally?
Yeah, so in the beginning, it like before then, I was just trying to help my hormones. I was just trying to like talk to like hormonal researchers and doctors and functional medicine people and functional nutritionists. I was talking to all these people mainly just about hormones. And then after the pandemic, before the pandemic, nobody had a problem with anything I was doing. It was completely fine. Everybody's like, yeah, go. Yeah, the food is messed up. Yeah, Kat, that's right. Everything you're saying is right. I believe that, blah, 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 blah. Keep fighting the good fight. After the pandemic, it's like everybody's brain broke and they're like, you can't say anything about like health being like, like think for yourself. No, you have to do what you're told. You have to do what you're told. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Everything you guys agreed with until this moment where like everybody at the same time kind of like snapped. And I'm just like, no, that's not how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to question everything. There is no highest authority. Science is constantly evolving. We used to like remove organs because we thought they were damaged. Now we're like, oh no, we needed that. So like everything always constantly changes. The other thing was the stress from the pandemic. It really like ruined, because I was maintaining everything. All of that was like good health wise. And then the stress from that, especially in the beginning when I believed the horriblest of the horriblest was going to happen, I got like thyroid problems. I got nodules. I started swelling up from stress. I started getting super swollen and weight gain. Like I've never had these problems before, no matter how. And then I panicked and I started doing the complete bad thing, which is like don't eat and work out more, which was making me more stressed and all of that. So my cortisol went up and all that stuff. So then I had to like come back and like have different experts on like, how do I deal with this? How do I calm down? And yeah, so it's just like, it definitely was a moment where I realized, something happened in the culture where that people stopped wanting to like ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that it's starting to reverse now so we can get back to like figuring out how to get healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like it's the fear that, made a lot of the people stop questioning because of fear. And yeah, you're right. Hopefully they've gotten over the fear and not think that there's only one highest authority that can, like tell us what to do to get healthy and whatnot. You've mentioned being the anti-Western diet, being anti the Western diet, which is basically called SAD, right? So what do you
Mm-hmm.
exactly mean by this, and what diet do you advocate for?
Yeah, so when I grew up, it was when mom started leaving the house and they started like working. So everybody is a two working parent household, so nobody's raising the kids. We were kind of like out on our own. So like some people had grandmas, but most people were just kind of like left there. So we were just eating cereal, we're eating whatever processed food that kids could make, and this was normal and everybody was busy, so they were like, okay, what kind of, half processed food can we get to make dinner quicker because everybody's tired, they don't want to cook from scratch, they don't have the time, they don't have that lifestyle anymore. So all of this processed food to make us more efficient, to make it easier for kids to cook for themselves or for busy moms and busy dads to like cook for their families, all of that has led to where we are now. The more things got processed, the more problems we started having. The easier it is to get calories, the more problems we started having. And then they started adding more preservatives to make things shelf stable, more profits, and less health for us. And then like they would take things out of food so that it wouldn't spoil as much. And oh, those were the nutrients. Oops. And then they would, do a lot of monocropping, depleting the soils, lots of corn, soy, and all that stuff. And they started, endocrine disruptors, putting things in plastic, putting gums and fillers and all of that stuff. So yeah, so basically that's where we kind of went wrong. We got too busy to really look at the ingredients and we just said, that's fine, it's fine. And in the beginning, the processed food wasn't so bad. So people will go, oh, well, when I was a kid, I used to eat everything and I was fine. It took a while, and then the processed food became more and more and more toxic and more dangerous for you. Like even they would say like McDonald's French fries, we used to eat those when we were kids. They were made with beef tallow and
Yeah.
salt. It was not the same. Now it's like, the the industrial oils and everything, and because they don't have to clean it as much, even though it's more
Yeah.
toxic. So all these things to make things quicker and more efficient made us sicker.
Yeah, totally. So now, do you have like a specific diet that you follow, or you advocate for?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a specific diet. I haven't found anyone who quite has said like this is like named it or whatever. There's like, some people do like the Whole 30, the paleo, the carnivore-ish. I don't think of that because all of these diets have pretty much been co-opted by processed food companies. So then
Yeah.
you'll just see it's like on the processed food box. It's this, it's paleo, it's whole. No, 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 no. It's got to be food. So it's
Yeah.
like completely no boxes, nothing pre-made. You got to make it from scratch. You got to do it. And it sucks. It's a lot of work. But, when you take it down, I do like animal protein first. And then everything else is like after that. Because I know, like, unfortunately in the US, unless we have a farmer's market with organic, regenerative type fruits and vegetables, it's not going to be, it's not what it used to be. It doesn't have the nutrient density as it used to have. When you take like something Guatemalan, you take it to, like, I don't know, Canada or something like that,
Yeah.
the vitamins and minerals, all that's been depleted. They have to pick it before it's ripe, artificially ripen it, coat it with something toxic, and then take it to you. So this is not the same. This is not like the same apple that your
Yeah.
grandma was eating. So you cannot compare the same. So the safest thing is I know the farm, I know, like, they're pastured and grass fed and they're out on the pasture. They're not just throwing grass, because now I'm seeing that pop up in my feed where they're just throwing grass at the cows, but they're
Yeah.
still in the feedlots. And it's like, ugh.
Right.
But, like, yeah, so you just have to know where you're getting your food. And, I'll order like special stuff from different regenerative farms, and it's more expensive. It's terrible. But as long as my diet is primarily like the meat and the raw dairy, and that, I'm pretty good. And I've noticed complete change in my health. I can even, like, before, when I was having the stuff at the store or whatever, like, I couldn't have wheat. It was a
Mhm.
problem. But now that I make it from scratch, I know, like, where the wheat's coming from. You mill it at home, like, so that all like the proteins and stuff like that are still in there. They're not rancid yet. It's fine. Like, I don't have any problems, which is
Yeah.
like crazy, because we've been told, like, oh, you're allergic to, or you're sensitive to dairy, you're gluten intolerant, you're all this. Unless you're celiac, you're not gluten intolerant. It's something they're doing
Yeah.
to the wheat, and we need to
Right.
address that, not just like stop eating it.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. And we see a lot of people too that they go to Europe, like Italy or something, and they can eat the bread there. So it's, to me, it's really not the gluten that's a problem. It's the glyphosate. And here, I know that a lot of the wheat now are hybrid. So that really, I feel like, changes the whole protein stuff in there and messes up people's gut. Maybe not for everyone, but a lot of times when you're gluten sensitive, that's usually the problem right there. And I love that. Yeah. Choose whole foods, and about, like, choose seasonal foods, because, like you said, a lot of times when they're imported from other countries, they're getting harvested while they're not ripe yet, and then they get sprayed when they get here to start the ripening process, and to make sure that the bugs from the other country doesn't come and survive here and, infiltrate the farms out here. So yeah, there's definitely a lot to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if it's organic, they can still get sprayed with certain chemicals that are approved for organic, and we're unknowingly getting exposed to them. Thanks for bringing that up. what
Yeah,
you
exactly. Yeah.
what lifestyle changes did you implement alongside diet and herbal treatments to combat your health issues?
So, other than like animal protein first, I started sleeping as much as possible, sleeping more. Cause, like, I heard recently, like, the sleep studies were all done on men. And when they finally did on women, we need more sleep than the men, which makes total sense, especially around our cycles, before we're menstruating, when we're on our periods, we need more sleep. Women do not work on the same schedule as men do. We completely change throughout our cycles. So we cannot behave as men. So I go to sleep earlier. I wake up later than my husband.
Yeah.
I don't care. He's in
Right.
charge of breakfast because I need to sleep. And it made a huge difference. Like, just that alone, like, you can effortlessly lose weight like that. And then also I started walking after we eat, especially a big meal. We have to walk afterwards. I also try to, even though, like, I do online stuff, I try not to sit as much as
Mhm.
before. Like, I have a little timer. every hour, like there'll be, 15 minutes where I just have to walk around just so that like I'm not sitting all the time,
Mhm.
because that's terrible for you. I also I'm very careful. Like one of the biggest lifestyle changes is I will not see a doctor whose health does not scream at me when I meet them. So like for example, like before when I would go to doctors, they'd be like massively overweight, they'd be sweaty, they'd look like they couldn't even walk up a flight of steps. They like not even like overweight, like we're just talking like there's something health wise. They're like
Mhm.
sweaty, they're like hyperventilating, they have their shortness of breath. I'm like, what is going on
Yeah.
with the doctors? They are so unhealthy now. And how can you complain to someone about like a minor health issue that's important to you when they can barely like move? Like I remember going to a gynecologist because when my hormones started, and she walks in and she's got like a full like PCOS, like
Uh-huh.
thinning hair, like every like like that look of PCOS, like really
Yeah.
untreated. It's gone too far, and I can't ask someone like that for advice for it when I'm in like the earlier stages and they're more advanced. They
Yeah.
don't know. So like I need to see people who I've seen like a transformation, or they've maintained their health throughout their life or something. Like they gotta be healthy. And it's crazy that we just go for people who are like insurance covers them.
Mhm.
This is the best
Yeah.
the insurance provides. And so like now I hardly go with insurance. I research the doctors. I'm like, what do you believe in? What's your health routine? Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Okay, then I will listen to them. But yeah, you have to like do the work now. You can't just trust people blindly.
For sure. I know. And a lot of I feel like it's the older generation where they have that, the white man and white coat syndrome where they just trust the doctor,
Hmm.
like no matter how maybe unhealthy the doctor is, but just because they have a white coat on, then you can trust them because you think they know more than you, but really you know your body more than your doctor. Because a lot of times these doctors only see doesn't even really know enough about you. Like they get to see you for 5 to 10 minutes, right? It's like they have to churn the patients so that insurance covers them. And yeah, it's so good to always advocate for yourselves and find out what your doctor knows and to see if they align with what you're looking for so that you can find healing. Could you share a particularly challenging health problem you faced and how you overcame it using your methods?
Well, other than the hormone problems, I could say like I had reflux once. My old job was incredibly stressful. I remember I got a new boss. She was always like stressing me out. And then I got reflux, horrible reflux. I couldn't sleep. It was just like you're choking all the time and burning. So I went to, of course, a regular doctor,
Mhm.
and they gave me some prescription. I looked at the side effects. Thank God, because of my experience with the birth control, I looked up the side effects, because normally people just they take it and then things happen. They're like, I don't know, and then you get another pill for whatever side effect you get, right?
Yeah.
So I looked at the side effects. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't take this. This is terrible. Like the side effects are 100 times worse than this, and this is pretty bad. So I said I can't do it. So then, at this point, I was finally coming around to more functional medicine, because I still wanted the easy out for everything, because I was stressed out, working too much. I wanted the easy out. So then I go, okay, to my husband, you do functional, fine. Tell me what to do. Tell me all the things. And he's like, okay, so first you're going to take this, like a supplement. It was like called glutamine. That's going to calm everything down. And then you have to stop eating like 5 hours before bed. So like you don't go to bed on a full stomach, and we're just going to lower your stress. You're going to start taking digestive enzymes. We're going to do a lot of ginger teas. We're going to walk after we eat. We're not going to go out to restaurants because we can't control that food. Keep your diet really good. And then in like a couple months, it was gone. you
Yeah.
know? And I didn't have to take the terrible medication with the side effects. I didn't need that. I just needed to heal it myself. It wasn't instant, it wasn't overnight,
Yeah.
but it does happen when you make the changes.
Right. And consistency is key to that. It's good though. It's amazing. What have been the biggest challenges you faced when advocating for natural health solutions in a Western medicine dominated world?
Yeah, well, definitely people will go like, "Oh, what's your degree?" or "What's your this?" And I'm just like, it's called research. It's called your brain. It's called,
Yeah.
you can go on PubMed. There is no degree required to look up a study and to read the study. There's no degree required for that. You can take that information, take 50 million other studies, and then aggregate that stuff yourself. You are a computer, believe it or not. The human
Yeah.
mind is a computer. So you can take that and you can do it on your own. And it's not magic. It's not witchcraft. It's just, you study it, and that's what doctors are supposed to do. I mean, same thing. Just because you didn't go to the formal education and, pay the fine to like get the degree or whatever, that doesn't mean that
Yeah.
you don't have the capacity to do that on your own for yourself and for your own family. And we should be doing that for ourselves first, because how can you raise children and like not know what healthy food is for them, or anything? You just like trusting someone who doesn't have the time, and they don't even have like nutrition education really. You're trusting them to like sit there and tell you how to do everything, how to eat, how to, like, we're forgetting the most basic fundamental parts of being alive. How do we eat to sustain life? How do we fix minor health issues from deviating from what we're supposed to be doing?
Yeah. Yeah. We've definitely become more detached from our instincts, right? A lot of like we've given up our powers to the people that paid the fine, like you said. I like that you call the fine the fine to get their medical degree. And then, but yeah, you definitely have that power to learn for yourself. It's funny that you say that though, because yeah, I ran into that same question, like, oh, what's your degree? What school did you go to? Like all these things. And it's like, how about life experience? Doesn't that count?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Have you encountered situations where Western medicine intervention was necessary? And how did you navigate the balance between the two?
Yeah, like I'm totally not against Western medicine for specific things. Like, for example, I got like a gut infection one time, and the natural stuff like berberines and blah blah blah, none of that would kill it. So I finally said, okay, let me take the antibiotic for a couple days, kill it, then repopulate with like doing all the good gut health things. And I was able to do that. Or if I have like let's say you get a UTI or something like that, you take it because that can progress. That's dangerous. And there's definitely other things. It's like if you break your arm, like I said, you definitely want to fix that. You don't just leave that. There's no like whatever. You can definitely incorporate Western medicine. It is a miracle for acute situations. If somebody's having a heart attack, if somebody is bleeding out, you definitely need that. So I'm not saying it's useless. I'm saying that it is a hammer. Sometimes you don't need a hammer.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So, in your opinion, what reforms are needed in the current medical system to incorporate more holistic approaches?
Yeah, I think that instead of going to just a prescribing doctor, we should have steps before that. We should first, if you're having any health issues, you should immediately go to someone who can help with your lifestyle issues. Like, what's your diet like? What's your, exercise routine? What's your stress level like? What's your sleep like? Let's fix those first and then see if everything doesn't just regulate itself eventually.
Mhm.
Now, I think doctors are allowed to make prescriptions for lifestyle
Yeah,
changes, but they're not really taught that. But they are allowed to do it.
yeah,
But it's just like they're just not doing it because it's harder. You have to spend more time with the patient. They don't have that kind of time. So if we can have someone before a doctor, maybe like more time with the patient that can just go, okay, let's do all these lifestyle changes. and then we'll send you, if you absolutely need a prescription for something, to another doctor. Like they
Yeah.
should be higher up on the chain and not the first line.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some doctors though that, I mean, it usually has to be, let's say, like a health coach or a lifestyle, like a lifestyle wellness coach or something like that, and they partner up with doctors. So if a doctor is open to helping, really, if they care about their patients, then they're going to be open to working with these health coaches to start the process and help their patients reach their health goals. But I think, to me, in my opinion, that the Western medicine doctors are heavily um, financed by big pharma, unfortunately, and they literally take them out on dates, right? Like, hey, prescribe our pill, and the more they prescribe, the more kickback they get, and that's just the unfortunate world. And unfortunately, it's the reality of the Western medicine world right now. And we're hoping that there'll be changes, right? Hopefully, this Make America Healthy Again movement truly gains traction and it's just not, you know, playing with our fantasies. Or we might not even need that movement and just start our own as, these women or mothers and anyone who has experienced the alternative world, just start your own movement. Like, why do we need someone else to help us get healthy again? All right. In your note, how do you ensure the safety and efficacy of herbal remedies and supplements you use?
Yeah, so my husband also does Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, and their herbs that they use, they are heavily vetted and regulated. They they're just like constantly being tested and everything. They have batch numbers, so if anyone has any like weird reaction, they have to test that immediately. God knows what's
Yeah.
in Amazon products because they can just put anything in them. And when they've done like studies on stuff on Amazon, sometimes there's like actual drugs in them that will like, harm you. Like, so you
Yeah.
don't want to get your supplements over the counter. You want to go through someone who's a professional, either like a functional nutritionist, a functional medicine doctor, somebody who does those type of things. You don't want to just pick something from the store because you have no way of knowing what's in it. It could be cardboard, it could be inert, it could be fine, like there's nothing that is doing for you, but it could not hurt you. Or it could be like they could put like different medications and stuff like that in there for you that could cause you side effects. So we don't know. Just like with makeup, if you buy makeup on Amazon,
Hmm.
you do not know what that is. They'll put like lead in there, they'll put whatever, and they'll make it look just like the stuff that you would get from like a name brand store, and the
Yeah.
packaging looks identical and you have no idea what you're using. So you have to be very careful where you buy
Yeah.
things.
Definitely. It's definitely buyers beware out there. And yeah, I've heard that about Amazon, where sometimes they'll buy something wholesale and then they buy the expired ones and then they just change the expiration date and whatnot. So definitely avoid buying your supplements on Amazon. I know a lot of people think that they're getting a better deal when they're getting it on Amazon because you can compare prices. It gets to you in 2 days or one day, maybe, depending where you are. But you definitely don't know the quality and what you're getting because it's basically like a shot in the dark. Like, so yeah, avoid Amazon supplements. So you're passionate about finding non-toxic products without things that, disrupts the hormones. So has it gotten easier with all these new products, the new brands that are coming out, or has it made it more difficult?
Yeah, so there's definitely been a clean product wave, clean, whatever beauty.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is a lot of it is co-opted. It makes it look, the packaging is green. The packaging looks like it's like paper, so it must be, safe. But when you look at the ingredients, it's the same junk
Mm-hmm.
with the different packaging look. That's all that they're doing now. And a lot of these smaller brands that were coming up with safe products, they get bought up by the bigger corporations, and then immediately they add the fillers and the toxic ingredients. And then, it's the same product and everything, but since now they're owned by somebody else, the ingredients have changed. So you have to, it's a never ending cycle of reading labels and
Mm-hmm.
researching who owns this, who owns them, and going down the line until you find out, is this like a small company, family owned or whatever, or is this like a mega corporate brand that they're going to put fillers in it because they have to increase profits every year, every quarter for the shareholders,
Yeah.
and if they don't, that looks bad on them, so they have to put fillers and more fillers every single quarter. So you need to be aware of that. And people go, oh my gosh, it's too hard to do. But you have to do the research because you can't put junk on your face because it goes right into your body.
Yeah.
Your skin is the largest organ. It just sucks everything up. So we have to be very mindful of it, and we can't get lazy and give up. And there's so many things that you can make yourself at home. You can do it yourself. You don't even have to go and buy, and it can be cheaper. Like, for example, I do not use deodorants. I
Mm-hmm.
don't use antiperspirant for sure. I just get milk of magnesia and a little bit of essential oils, mix that up and spray it on. And
Yeah.
then after a couple months of using that, like, you don't smell anymore. It just goes away. It's like crazy. And sometimes, that's all you need. You don't need all these fancy products, and they're way more expensive and they have lots of junk. You don't need that stuff. You can just make a lot of it at home.
Right. Yeah, I haven't worn deodorant since 2012. And usually too, once you change up your diet, when you're eating cleaner, your body, yeah, initially it will go through a purge, get rid of the toxins, you'll smell a little bit, and eventually it all balances out. And I love that you said milk of magnesia because I've been recommending just like even just a magnesium spray, like just spray it on there because a lot of times body odor is from a magnesium deficiency. Maybe not for everyone, but a lot of times it's a sign of magnesium deficiency. So just as simple as a magnesium spray will help. Of course, we want to sweat, so don't use antiperspirants. You don't want to trap the toxins in there. But yeah, definitely, I love
Mhm.
that too that you said to look up, make sure to look at, who owns who, because there are a lot of times when these smaller companies get bought out and then all of a sudden they sneak in the fragrance and then polysorbate 80, like all these things. And you just have to always be proactive and be on the lookout for yourself because once the bigger companies get a hold of these smaller companies, yeah, in the beginning they might say that they have good intentions, but eventually they're still gonna sneak in something in there, and you just have to keep an eye out. So it's been harder. I know that it's been harder to speak about alternative health, especially after the pandemic, right? All the fact checkers, the censorship, like you get buried down when your title has something that teaches people how to get healthy. How has this affected you and your platform?
Yeah, so before 2020, no issues. Everything was fine. It got shared. It was like really, everybody was like watching it, no problems, right? And then after 2020, it was just like people started getting a little weird. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust this. And if you even would post a study, but it was against what one doctor or whatever said, they would just start attacking you. So
Yeah.
it got like really hard to do this type of stuff. So a lot of people kind of gave up. But like what I would do is just keep on trucking. And whoever's listening is listening. And then now thankfully, we have X, so we can post things on there, and that doesn't get any problems. And then you'll realize, like, sometimes I think they're just like bots or something. Like they're
Yeah.
just like anti whatever bots. They're just sending them to you, like to say, to like, put comments that are like, no, this is wrong, blah, 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 blah. What's your degree? Blah, 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 blah. I don't trust the study, or blah, 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 whatever. So that doesn't happen over there. And it seems pretty clear that we're changing. We're gonna move away from all of that censorship, because all of this is just, when you have a mega billion-trillion-dollar company and this is how you make money, you're gonna protect it, right? So you're
Yeah.
gonna like put all this stuff like, trust us, we know everything we're doing, don't look at anyone else, because you want to maintain that you have a good thing going. You don't want anything easy. It's, I mean, it makes good business sense. It's not good health sense. So we need to constantly, understand people's motivation. Like if you say anything against mainstream doctors, even like maybe you don't trust a doctor who's not healthy themselves, then they get mad. I went through all this, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, you don't look healthy. How dare you? I'm educated. I'm like, well, you don't look healthy. They get a little upset. And it's probably because it's triggering something real. Like they realized, hey, I didn't learn this. And they feel like they were scammed. And
Yeah.
I don't know, a little upset. So yeah, we just have to keep on keeping on, because we can't be quiet, because that's not how we get change. We need to be healthier. And the only way to do that is to keep talking about it, keep mentioning everything. Oh, like there's a new study that says this was wrong. Why did we not double check that for like, I don't know, 10 years? So we need to constantly be on top of things, because we can't let anybody else be responsible for our health and our family's health and our children's health. That's our responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you ever get frustrated having to constantly research ingredients and products?
Yeah, so with the ingredients and stuff, I personally don't, because I am on a mission to avoid
Mhm.
these things.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing is, when I decided to do this, I did it for real. I stopped everything I put on my body, in my body. I stopped everything. And then I would only add stuff once I have thoroughly researched it. And then I continue to research the same companies a couple months at a time, just to make sure nothing's changed, ingredients
Mhm.
wise, who owns them wise, everything. I keep on top of it. There are so few products that you really need. And you know what? This is such a life hack to save money, because I will go to the store with my kid, right? And she's like, I want this because it's pretty colors, whatever junk. I'm like, okay, check the ingredients. Go check all the ingredients, look it up. And she's like, nope, cause of cancer. Nope, why did they put this in there? And I'm like, oh, really? And then we don't have to buy the junk. So
Yeah.
it's kind of great. So she's learning. We need to check ingredients, and it's poison. Why are they poisoning us? And then she's like, why does the box look like it's healthy if it's not healthy? I'm like, I wonder. Why do you think? So it's like, we need to teach our kids this, and we have to
Yeah.
start with doing it ourselves. So that means being a little more proactive. I remember like the hardest thing was I gave up makeup and I had to restart one product at a time, and that took months to figure out, but I'm so glad I went through that, because now I know every product is safe.
Yeah.
Nothing is causing any damage, and we're good. So like you can do all the things you normally do. You just have to be more mindful when you restart everything.
Yeah. And think of it as a time investment and investment in your health, because now you're not putting anything on your body that's compromising your health. So it might be harder in the beginning, but it's totally worth it. So, how can everyone combat big pharma, government agencies, and policies that work against human health?
So yeah, if you want to make any policies now, we have this great resource. You can go to policies4people.com. You can submit any policies that you would like, and they will look at them. And hopefully, if we get enough people for certain things, they will be implemented. So this has never before like been so easy. We need to take advantage of it now and try to pass everything, whether it's like stuff that, health reform, or making the product safer, making the packaging safer, because like that's a problem, like making every step of it safer. We need people to like start writing policies. So go get your chat GPTs, go get everything, learn how to do like a really nice one, and just keep submitting them. Just do it constantly. Just bombard them with different things to make all of us collectively healthier and happier.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to have that on the show notes as well. So for this one though, do they have to kind of make it a formal policy, or can they just kind of like write a few statements on what they want to see happen?
I would do as best you can. You don't have to do like a full thing, but just get the gist of everything out there.
Yeah. So where can everyone go to support you and find you online?
Well, I'm not on Instagram much, but you can find me on YouTube at Kat Khatibi, on Rumble at Kat Khatibi, or my podcast, which is Kat Khatibi Health, Happiness, and Beauty, or you can find me on X, which is at Persian Kitty Cat with a K.
Awesome. We're going to have that on the show notes as well. And you don't have any freebie or anything, right? Ooh, maybe you should make a freebie with all your. Okay, I have that freebie for like my safer swap recommendations, but I'll definitely want to scour your list and cross check and see maybe I can add more, because the thing is with us, old timers, we have our go-tos, and I don't want to keep testing new products. Especially my husband just gives me the stink eye when a new package arrives, and I'm like, it's experiment, babe. It's market research. But I've become more of a minimalist ever since going low tox. Like I only shampoo my hair once a week. So our shampoo goes for a long time. So a lot of people, when they're just switching, they always complain that it's expensive, right? But it's like, well, if you train your hair not to get greasy and like do the right thing and all that stuff, you can save on shampoo and conditioner. You can save on deodorant, right? Like you said, everything that they sell to us, like sometimes it's just a luxury and it's not really needed for us to live healthier. So that's a great way to save. So I know you're not gonna give me a freebie. I'll look at your list.
I'll make a list on the website. How about that?
Yeah, that would be awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kat, for joining me today and sharing your health journey and all these tips that are definitely helpful for starting to live healthier and happier.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been fun.
All right. Have a good one. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please click the subscribe button, share it with others, post about it in social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from me or suggest topics, you can follow me on Instagram at Fatima Pagtakan or at The Wellness Rebel Show. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.